Okay, so we're going to start the class. The last session you learned about the swing high candlestick, and I told you that it could be in any location in the market, and based on its location it's different. So how do we know if it's going to be performed or not, or if it's reliable or not? It's inside the trend, not in the top or bottom of the chart. You see, when a swing high is at the bottom of the chart, it's going to cause an upward movement, and if it has all of the factors, it's more reliable and more powerful. But there are sometimes in a trend, for example, like this. The swing high candlestick is inside the trend, but it's close to a doji candlestick. The difference is in the body. The body becomes just the line. It's not a body. So when we see that, it tells us that the swing high candlestick is very weak. And we can make decisions based on this when it opens the shadow from the top. Now let's move on to another part of the market, for example, this one. You see, you're looking at just one candlestick here, but you have to check the previous candlestick as well to see if this candlestick is completed inside the previous candlestick or not. For example, this one. This has a long shadow and a small body. And in here, this candlestick, if it's completed inside the previous candlestick, you shouldn't make any decisions based on it. You shouldn't take orders based on it. You should wait until the price is able to go further than one side of this candlestick. If it goes further than it's from the top, you should buy. And when it goes further than it's from the bottom, you should sell, because that is a descending candlestick for us. You see, in here we have this exact candlestick. This is a swing high candlestick for us. And it's a doji candlestick with just the difference that the shadow here is a powerful shadow. You see, usually the swing high candlestick can have no shadows from one side, or it can have a very small shadow from one side, but at the one side of it, it has a very long shadow. You see, the lower shadow is very long here, so we have the possibility that, excuse me, I said that you were glitching. I can't hear you. Oh, okay, let me check my internet connection. Alright, can you hear me now? Yes, it's better now. I changed my connection to a better, more powerful internet. Okay, so this candlestick here, you see that it's inside the previous candlestick. But because this shadow is very long, and it's longer than the two sides of it, can you see it? It's inside the previous candlesticks, but the shadow is longer than the two sides of it. So in here, the thing that we have to do is that we have to put a buy stop here. because the price is higher than this body and the shadow here, so it's exactly at this point. So imagine we don't have this part of the market, ignore this part of the market. So you should wait and put a buy stop there. The reason for putting a buy stop there is that there's a possibility that the next candle is going to form an engulfing candlestick and then go up again and produce a swing high candlestick itself is totally there. So I put a buy stop there so I have so that I have a confirmation, and when the price is open from the top here, it tells me that I have an uptrend. So that is the difference between these two candlesticks. This is inside the trend. You see that? It's inside the tide. But this one is at the bottom of the trend here. It's the bottom of the market. And it's a better swing high candlestick for us. But this one is inside the trend. That is why I should be careful in here. And when the prices open from here, it gives me a final confirmation that I'm going to have an uptrend. So let's move on to the 4-hour time frame. For example, in here, in the 4-hour time frame here, we have a swing high candlestick with a long shadow. And a little bit of the shadow of this candlestick is completed inside the previous candlestick, but the tip of your shadow here is longer than the two sides of it. So how can I rely on that when the price can go further than this area? If it goes further than that, this candlestick will be performed. So I will start taking buy orders here, and I put my stop loss below this candlestick's shadow. And I have started buying quicker here because I was trading on midterm time frames. So the difference is that if this is at the bottom of your trend and it's a solo swing high there, that is very more powerful, and it's will be performed much better. You see, for example, in here we have a swing high candlestick, but the candlestick from now it still has fluctuations. So I can gain profits here and wait until the price goes further than this area, and then I can enter safely. All right, I have another example for you. For example, in here, I have a descending signal here, and it's in a downtrend, but it has formed a solo swing high candlestick for me because the shadow here is longer than the two sides of it. And the next candlestick has opened the body and the shadow, so I can start selling safely. In here, this candlestick is a swing high itself, and this shadow has been able to be formed at the bottom. And when the price goes further than this area, it gives me the final confirmation to start buying and put my stop loss at this area. So in here you see this candlestick, and if you see this candlestick in you may say to yourself that there's a 50% confirmation that I'm going to have an ascending trend. But when the next candlestick is completed, you see that it gives you a sideways trend signal. And also the next candlestick is the same. So all of these small candlesticks give me the sideways trend signal because the market is not very busy at the 11 p.m. or 1 p.m. It totally depends on the time. Maybe this here was formed at the 9 or 10 p.m. or maybe at the 4 or 5 a.m. You should wait until you get the final confirmation. And another example is, for example, in here, this candle itself is a solo swing high candlestick and it's very powerful too. The reason for that is that uh, the longer the shadow, the more powerful the swing high candlestick. And it's going to cause a better upward movement. And it's more powerful. So if its shadow here is longer, you see that it's more reliable and more powerful. And another here, this is a reversal candlestick, but we haven't learned about that yet. This candlestick here, the shadow is a little bit longer than the body. They're almost the same height, but the shadow is a little bit longer. In here, until the price here, the candle, the next candles are descending. So I have to wait here because it doesn't have two of my factors here. One of them is that the shadow is not exactly longer than the body. They're almost the same height. The shadow has to be visibly longer than the body, like this one. So the shadow has to be longer than the body and it has to be visible. Not that it shouldn't be almost longer. So the second factor that it doesn't have is that it's white and it's not empty. The second factor is that, the third factor is that the price should go further than this shadow and the body here. And it has gone further than it, and then we've had an uptrend here because the pivot was there. And that's the reason why this has happened. So only the third factor has been performed here. Let me find a more clear example for you. This here has been performed and it has caused a decline and then an upward movement. So, but in here, for example, this candlestick here, let me delete this. This is not a candlestick. This one is. You see, this swing high candlestick that has been completed here, if you look at it, the shadow here is lower than the shadows that are next to it. You see, these 3 or 4 candles that are considered as one. You have to memorize this. You see, when you see this candlestick base here, this shadow here wasn't able to form a solo and a single swing high candlestick, and that is why it has faded out, because the shadow wasn't able to go further than the shadows that are next to it. And the second factor is that, let me see how you should put it. When it's completed at the top of the market, the candlestick wasn't able to be completed as a white candle. And the third factor is that the price has opened the shadow from the top and it has faded out this candlestick here completely. Excuse me, it's at the top of the market or not? Uh, I, it's at the top of this trend here because you've had an uptrend here. So the shadow is not at the bottom of the chart. Inside its own trend, it's at the top of it. Imagine we don't have this part of the market. But this is at the top of the market, its trend. And the price was here. So it's at the top of the market. The price is below this shadow here. So where should have we entered. Please consider this swing high here. So we should have entered at the fourth candlestick there. Well, on the fifth one you should have entered because it has opened this shadow here. So these shadows and these bodies of the swing high candlesticks have pivots. For example, it's very clear here then the decline that we've had here has gone further than its own pivot. So it gives us a final confirmation that based on Fibonacci as well, we have the descending signal. But in here, this is the reversal candlestick that I'm not going to talk about for now. So if you don't know the rules, you say that this is a swing high candlestick, but it's not because it's inside the previous candlesticks. It's completed in a candlestick base. And secondly, it's not at the top of the market exactly. And the third one is that it has declined first. And based on Fibonacci, it has retraced again. And all of these has happened in this one candlestick. So you could have taken a sell order here. Because based on the Fibonacci, it's performed, and all of these has happened on this one candle. And when it has come up, it has faded out this one, but it's not reliable anymore. You could have just gained a little bit of profit here. But if this candle was able to be completed here and not open this from the top, the next candlestick would have declined. But this candlestick has been completed at the top and it has produced a reversal candlestick. Or for example, this candlestick here. The shadow of this candlestick is inside the previous candlestick. So I shouldn't consider this as a swing high candlestick. And I shouldn't take sell orders based on this. Because the shadow of this candlestick is inside the previous one. So this isn't a swing high candlestick and you can't decide anything based on it. So I told you that a swing high is reliable and powerful when and it gives us a correction when this candle is able to produce a shadow that is longer than the two sides of it. And it should be white as well, and it has to open the price. And the shadow has to be longer than the sides of it. So that is a reliable candlestick for us. And I can start selling and candlestick by candlestick trade. Another example is right here. In this, if you look at this candlestick, you shouldn't be deceived by it. The shadow and the body are the same height. So don't think and don't be deceived that the shadow is longer than the body. You should pay attention to it. It doesn't give you a descending signal here. Excuse me. I saw a candlestick there. Okay, I will talk about that later. Let me show you the examples first. So please ask the questions after the class is over. So this candlestick in here is a very great swing high candlestick. The shadow is long, the body is empty, and it has opened the candlestick and it has caused an upward movement up until the pivot. In the pivot, we've had a decline here and the candlestick was a reversal candlestick. But it has been performed and it has given us the signal. So last session I told you that whenever you see a swing high candlestick, you shouldn't think that it's over. You shouldn't rely on that completely. You should look at the next candlesticks as well. You should pay attention to all of the candlesticks. For example, in here, this candlestick has a long shadow, but it's completed inside a candlestick base. So it's not a swing high candlestick, even though it has caused an upward movement. But I couldn't have considered it as a swing high candlestick. Usually in these candlesticks, we don't do anything and we don't make any decisions and we wait until it opens the body and the shadow or the pivots, and that is our final confirmation. When that happens, I know that the trend is going to reach the next pivot. Or another example is this. For example, you see the shadow is longer than the body, it's white. It has opened the body and the shadow from the bottom, and it's formed at the top of the trend, so it has caused a decline up until the next pivot. You see, we've had a upward movement here as well. Now you can ask your questions. Please start asking your questions. No, I got my answer. Thank you. Alright, so the swing highs here in a smaller time frames, for example, in 1 minute time frames, I will check it. You see, for example, in here, the next candle has started, so this shadow here was completed inside a candlestick base. So if it was a little bit lower than that, we could have, and we had a decline here and we had a reverse V shape here. It was a lot more reliable. But in here, I have to wait. You see, the candlestick base that I have here has to be opened. You see, this candlestick base that you have to memorize here hasn't been opened. So this has happened here. If it goes further than that, I should start buying. So, but I don't make any decisions based on this candlestick. I have to wait to see if it's going to be opened or not. Excuse me. The candlestick at the bottom is a very good swing high candlestick, right? Yes, it is. It has all of the confirmation and it has been performed. You see in here, you have to look at this candlestick. And if you just consider this one and don't look at the ones that are previous to it, you will make mistakes. So your pivot is here. It hasn't opened that yet. Your swing high candlestick is inside a candlestick base here. And it hasn't been able to go further than the tip of these shadows here. So this is a reversal candlestick because the upper shadow was longer than the lower shadow. But this candlestick in here that has been completed inside the trend is a 50-50 candlestick. And it could be a continuation candlestick as well. But right now we're talking about the swing high candlestick only. So can we please to go to the pound dollar chart? There you go. Was the previous chart NZD? No, it was, yes, it was NZD and then AUD. What was the time frame, the chart that we had a swing high at the bottom? It was this one. You see, we had to enter in here. So shouldn't it open the previous candlestick? No, you see, this is a swing high candlestick. If the body and the shadow is open, that gives you a confirmation. So shouldn't it open the previous candlestick? No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Based on this candlestick, if it was completed here, you see, at the tip of the shadow of this one. Yes, this one had to be opened as well, but now that it's a solo candlestick in here, you see, I emphasize on that. If it's a solo and a single swing high candlestick, that is very powerful for us. Thank you. Can you please go to the Dow Jones chart in the 1 minute time frame? Yes, but we only have also have a swing high candlestick in the hourly time frame. See that we've had one here. Let me check the 1 minute time frame. No, I don't have a swing high candlestick in here. Don't be deceived by these little swing high candlesticks here. Don't make any decisions based on these little candlesticks. You have to memorize them. Let me zoom in for you. If it's smaller than this candlestick, don't even pay attention to it, because the smaller the candlestick, the less reliable the candlestick. For example, in the hourly time frame, I have one swing high candlestick, so I can start buying here. It has opened the candlestick here and it has gone further than the shadow of this one. So I will put my stop loss below this candlestick here and I will look for my pivots, and the pivot is right there. Isn't it completed inside the previous candlestick? No, this is a independent shadow here. It's a solo shadow. The shadow is not higher than the is higher than the shadows that are next to it. No, you see, if the shadow was completed here just a little bit longer than the candlestick base, we could have said that, but it has gone further than this shadow. It has gone too far, so it's a solo shadow for itself. So you have to memorize these. You have to rewatch the videos of the class so much that you have memorized all of them. If the shadow was completed in here, I could have said that it was completed inside the previous candlestick, but the shadow is completed in here. There's a distance between them. Can we please move on to the 5 minute time frame? Yes, I've just talked about the swing high candlestick. So this is the 5 minute time frame. I have a swing high candlestick in here, and it doesn't have two of our factors. The longer shadow is right there, but it wasn't white, it's empty, and it hasn't gone further than this area. If it does, I can start a sell order, but it will be very small because the distance between it and the pivot is very little. So I can't take a risky order based on it. I can't make decisions by it. It has given me a descending signal, but I don't have the confirmation yet. It was an empty, it hasn't gone further than the body and the shadow, and the distance between it and the pivot is very little. So I won't risk it, because in the hourly time frame I have a more powerful signal, and in candlesticks, the longer the time frame, the more powerful the candlestick. For example, in here, if I have this in a daily time frame, it means that we're going to have an uptrend in that day. And if it's in the 4 hour time frame, it tells me that it's going to be an uptrend in the next 4 hours. But the shorter the time frame, the less reliable the candlestick. And in scalping, you can do that because it's on 1 minute, 5 minute, and 15 minute time frames. But we're not talking about scalping now. We're just talking about the candlesticks. Okay, so any questions? For example, in here, this candlestick in here is a solo swing high, and it has this, and it is empty, it has opened the body and the shadow in here, and it's kind of a solo swing high candlestick, so we know that it's going to cause an upward movement. Excuse me. It's a double swing high low here. Yes, you can say that as well. But I'm not talking about those patterns right now. We will talk about them later. Right now we're just talking about the candlesticks. Uh, the subject is something else completely. So based on the trend line, let me check that for you. In the hourly time frame, we've had a shadow and a retracement here. If it's rejected, then and the next candlestick is completed above the line, it's going to cause an upward movement. But if it's completed below the line, I know that I'm going to have to exit. So it shouldn't be like this. I've always told you that in the market we don't have anything that is definite. Everything is just 99%, not 100%. So if I buy based on this candlestick in here, I have to be careful. If the next candlestick gives me a descending signal, I'm going to lose. But I have to exit with that loss. Let's move on to the 1 minute time frame and find the swing highs there. You see, for example, in here, in a 4-hour time frame. Let me see if we have any one in the hourly time frame. You see, in a 4-hour time frame, this is not a very good shape. You see, inside an uptrend, we've had a swing high candlestick that has been completed. So you have to pay attention and memorize these. You see, it's in an uptrend, we've had a swing high candlestick that has been completed, and the body of this candlestick is inside the trend. So that is what I told you. There's a possibility of engulfing and a decline, and then an upward movement. So you have to wait when you see this candlestick. It's not a solo swing high for itself. When it's solo and independent, that it's completed at the top or bottom of the market, but it's inside the trend. You see in here, for example, this candlestick is completed inside the previous candlesticks. So it's inside the trend. And this one is completed inside the trend and inside the previous candlesticks as well. So in here, this is a solo candlestick for itself. And I could start selling when I had seen this, but in here, this is inside the trend and it's inside the previous candlesticks in an uptrend. If I had a downtrend and it was completed then and I had this shadow at the bottom here, I could have relied on it a lot more. But it's because it's in an uptrend and the shadow here was completed in this area, and it's completed inside the previous candlesticks, I can't really rely on that, and it's unreliable. And I told you in the previous sessions that it's like a doji candlestick, and the next candlestick is probably going to be an engulfing candlestick, so it's going to be reversed and then go up. Ms. Sajidi has asked, is this swing high that is inside the trend continuation candlestick? You could say that, but you should wait for the next candlestick to give us a correction, and after that it's going to cause an upward movement. So you shouldn't make any decisions based on it. You shouldn't buy based on this candlestick because there is a possibility of a correction. And after that correction, which is going to be up until the end of the shadow here, it's going to go up. You're welcome. Any questions?
داری سوالش
I have a question.
میگم که این شرایطی که گفتیم برای قله
The factors that you said about the swing high candlestick, sometimes we don't have one of the factors. For example, it's not empty or something. Is that important? You see, this is what how I put it. If this candlestick is at the top of the market, the first thing that I check is the shadow. The second thing that I check is to see if it's white or not, and the third thing is that, and my final confirmation is that the shadow and the body has to be open from the bottom. That is how the order I check it. But the most important thing is that it has to be opened from the bottom. For example, in here, the pivot was this, and that is why we've had a stop here. But that goes back to other candlesticks. Let me move on to the 1 minute time frame in every chart. You see, this is the correction that I talked about.
خیلی
Excuse me.
اسکان خیلی دقت میخواد
Uh, we should be fluent in the candlesticks, right? Yes, exactly. For example, in here we have a continuation candlestick. So I know that it's going to cause an upward movement, but I have to pay attention that I have a pivot here. So the price is going to be stopped here because I have a swing low pivot there. So you have to pay attention that the candlestick that you want to trade based on is worth it or not. I have to wait until the price here is opened, and I know that the price is going to reach these pivots here. So we can start scalping based on the swing high candlestick. This is your continuation candlestick, it's not the engulfing candlestick. I told you, you have to memorize these. I have seen this market so many times in these years that I have memorized all of them. So when I take a look at them, I know that what's going to happen in the market. So I the patterns should exist so that it's going to happen, something is going to happen. You have to memorize them as well. You see all of the errors that you make. For example, you see if you say that this is an ascending candlestick and you weren't paying attention to the pivot here, you would have started trading and then you would have lost, and it would have made you stressed out. And so we know that it's not worth it sometimes. You should wait and try to start trading in good times in the day. For example, in the 15 minutes time frame, we have a swing high here. It has all of the factors. It's white, the shadow is longer, it has gone further than the body and the shadow. So I can start a buy order here, and I have to close my order in here. If I don't, I will lose, because I know that after that I'm going to have a decline. In a 30 minutes time frame, we've also had a reversal here. But it doesn't have one of our factors. In the hourly time frame, we have an ascending signal. So the only thing that I have to do here is that I should put my stop loss in here because I'm doing a buy order. Because in the hourly time frame, I've seen that. So my hourly time frame, you see, this is our pivot here in the hourly time frame. If it goes further than that, I can say that it has opened the first pivot, and if it opens this one as well, that is over for me. But I'm talking about the hourly time frame. If I'm trading in a 15 minutes time frame, I can take a sell order right there and put my stop loss at this point. And if I want to put my take profit anywhere, I should put it on my pivots. And one of my pivots is here that has caused a reversal, and the second pivot is this one. Is it worth it? You see, my pivot was here. Let me adjust it for you. It was right here. So was it worth it? Was the sell order worth it? No, it wasn't.
استاد ببخشید.
Excuse me. So you have to see if the candlestick that is giving you the signal, for example, it gives you a little bit of a decline. Is it worth it? Is this spread worth it or not?
نه
Excuse me.
دقیقه اینجا خب از دو طرفش از طرف
The candlestick that you have here is not higher than the two sides of it. No, it's a solo candlestick. You see, it has a swing high there. When a candlestick has a swing low next to it, it is count as a solo swing high candlestick. When I have a swing high, low here, that is an independent swing high candlestick. Is that clear?
بله.
Yes, I did. Thank you. All right, so you see, for example, in here, this is a swing high candlestick. You see that? But these candlesticks are next to each other, so I have to wait for my final factor to be performed so I can start buying. If it opens the shadow and the body here, I can put my stop loss here and start trading. And another thing that I'm going to teach you about is that when we have these three swing highs next to each other, what's going to happen in the market. I'm going to teach you about that in the future. But first, you need to learn about swing high candlesticks. You see, I have a swing high here, a swing low here next to my swing high candlestick. So that means that it's an independent candlestick here. I've also had a swing low here, and it hasn't been able to go further than this candlesticks here. So if you see your price is stuck somewhere, you should know that it's because of the pivots that you have. So that is exactly what has happened here. The price is stuck, so I have put my take profit here, and these pivots are going to make cause a decline. So you should wait if your pivot is going to be broken or not. If it did, you should start buying for the second time. That is the scalp trading. So you should pay attention to your pivots and candlesticks at the same time to see if it's worth it to trade or not. Because many of the people who do scalp trades, they gain many profits, but at some point they make a very big mistake and they lose a lot of money because they might not have paid attention to pivot here, and that might cause a big loss for them. But here I have put my take profit in this place so that if the price goes further than that, you see this, I put my take profit right here. Right here. Can you see it? That is your default situation. If this is opened, I'm going to have a decline because the price here has been open, and when that happens, it doesn't wait for anything else. So the candlestick here has been formed, and it has caused an upward movement, and it has formed a shadow here. So if this is open, nothing can stop it anymore. It's because the pivot here has been opened. Excuse me. I can't hear you. Please speak louder. Is it better now? Yes, it is. Please say. I said that we should just memorize these pivots and candlesticks, and it doesn't have anything to do with scalps, right? No, I'm not saying that. You should draw your Fibonacci here to see how much you're going to have an ascending trend. You should pay attention to all of your strategies, for example, trend lines. You have to do all of that. For example, sometimes your swing high candlestick might be on your trend line, so that is another confirmation for you. Or the swing high candlestick could be completed in your 38 level of Fibonacci, so that gives you another confirmation. That is why I have taught you all of this in parts. I was talking about this yesterday to my friend, Mr. Irfan Manish. I told him, I asked him why. He asked me, why did I uh, teach you candlesticks in your third semester and not your second? And the reason I did that is because it would have made you confused if I taught you about candlesticks in your earlier stages, because it's very confusing and complex. So the first things that I taught you are the simpler strategies, and then the candlestick is more complex. So I have taught you this at the end, because these strategies all give you confirmations of their own, so you can trade safely and more easily. So you shouldn't just work based on candlesticks. You should consider all of the strategies. You should keep in mind that this shadow here has gone further than our pivot there. So if I take an order, it would have faded out. So I want, for example, this pivot here, I'm not going to take the risk. I'm going to exit here. So if I hadn't seen that one, I would have made the mistake and I would have lost money. You see, in here we have an ascending signal and the price is now on the pivot. So I shouldn't make any decisions right now. I should check other charts to see if I have any swing high candlesticks. For example, in here, this shadow that is completed inside the previous candlestick, and this candlestick is performed from the bottom, you should start drawing your Fibonacci and check that. You see, the price is finished here. The candlestick is completed in your 38 level. So if you don't draw your Fibonacci, you will be confused. Or, for example, you can get a sell order and then it would come up. So I don't have a confirmed ascending signal here. So you should mix all of the strategies that I've taught you. But the main strategies are pivots and candlesticks. You see, the Fibonacci gives me confirmation for the pivots. So this candle here is in the same family as the swing high candlestick. So I get a confirmation here and it's going to come up to the pivots. So the next pivot is also right there. So it has reached it one time and then could go up until the next pivot. But the price here is stuck. So I shouldn't make any decisions. And I should wait until the price reaches this place and then I should take orders. I should wait for it to go further than the pivots a little bit. You see, for example, this candlestick here. This is an independent candlestick here. It's solo because the next candlestick is over and the next one has opened this neck here. But so you have the confirmation here and you shouldn't be afraid anymore. Let me look at other candlesticks. You see, in here you've had a decline. You have to memorize these patterns. Memorize this exactly. Whenever you see this, you have a decline. Because this is a candlestick base. Whenever that is opened, you're going to have a decline. It's going to be descending. Or let me show you other examples. I will talk about these later. You can buy easily based on these. And you've had a pivot here.
چند مدله؟
I will teach you these in the future. How many candlesticks do we have? You see, there are many candlesticks, around 60 or 70, but I will teach you only 6 candlesticks, the best ones. If I teach you all of the 12 candlesticks, that is very wrong, because you're going to get them all confused. Because in these 12 candlesticks, 6 of them have errors. I'm going to teach you the best ones, the ones that have less errors, and you can see them every day. You see, the pivot is here right now,
شیشته هم میشه
and that is why we've had an uptrend. Uh, you see, for example, this one here has been performed. And in those 6 candles that I'm going to teach you, 3 of them are better. One of them is swing high, reversal, and continuation candlestick. You see, for example, in here I've had an order and I have had a continuation candlestick. Or for example, in here, you see that? This one. I have a continuation candlestick. And the candlestick has been completed in here, so it's obviously going to go up. So you have these 3 in every single chart. Let me show you other examples. This is the one that I told you it's going to open this price here. So we've had a pivot here, and that is why we've had a reversal in the
دستشویی
past.
هستن اینجا برای بای بالا پایین.
Can we buy here too as well? Yes, there are several different charts. For example, if you want to buy, it's right here. So yes, it doesn't make any difference. It's just the opposite of the previous one. If it opens this one, I know that my price is going to go up. But in here, it has a little small shadow. So I should wait for it to be opened, and it shouldn't reject it. If it rejects it, it's going to have a decline. But the pivot that I have is right here. If it opens this area, I can buy. Let me find other pivots that I have. The next one is here, and we've had a reversal there. And if it goes further than that, the next one is right there. And after that, we have this pivot. So I will stock the market, and I won't do anything. I should just wait, and whenever it goes further than that, I should start trading. And when the previous candlestick is completed, it gives me an ascending signal. So the fractal is deleted. These are all warnings for me. But I should still wait, and I shouldn't rush into it. Excuse me. If we had rushed into it, we would have lost. Yes, exactly. You have to be patient in the market. You should stock the market. You could have at least 2 very good opportunities every day. So you should stock the market. You see, this is a 50-50 candlestick because the base is completed in the pivots here. So there's a possibility that it might go up or down. So I have to wait. Now I'm just thinking about buying. Even if it comes down to here, it doesn't matter. I just want to buy. So I will wait for it to reach this point. Unless I have a very good descending signal. And then I'm going to stop thinking about buying and I'm going to start thinking about selling. Excuse me.
یه فیبو
Uh, should I draw Fibonacci here? No, you shouldn't. You see, someone has asked a question that I haven't understood. What do you mean by conditional trading. Yes, you when you want to do spreads, you should start and enter the market in here. This is your 11 level Fibonacci that has stopped it because you've had pivots in here. So you have to wait. Let me check other charts.
اسپرد 5 پیپ باشه.
Excuse me. No, I have a white spread here.
اسپرد 5 تا شد.
It's about 5 pips. Yes, that's true. But I will check that later because there's a distance between them. So I have a wide spread here. It's 23 pips. Oh, excuse me, I made a mistake. This is a silver chart. I thought it was a euro dollar chart. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Then I will tell you something else about candlestick. You should keep in mind and keep checking this clock here because it's going to keep on changing. And here it's on the 54 minutes and 50 seconds. I have to check this constantly. Keep that in mind. Let me explain something in here. You see, in here I have a candlestick base. And when this is opened and broken, you see this is a pivot here too. You have pivots here and another one here. So if this place is opened, I can start buying up until the next one. This is a continuation candlestick here. So I should wait for it until this area is open so I can start buying. Let me check other charts. You see, this is the one that I told you about. We've had a decline here, and the first pivot is right there. And after that, we've had a retracement up until this area. I'm just looking for swing high candlesticks now. You see, we've had an uptrend here. It's very obvious because it has opened the candlestick base there. In here, we've had an uptrend because the candlestick base has been opened. It hasn't been opened completely yet, but we know that we're going to have an ascending trend. So it's going to be finished at this point. If it's finished here, it is, we can count it as a swing high candlestick, but we can't predict that now. We should wait. I should wait for this swing high candlestick to be opened. It's a very good swing high candlestick too. You see, my spread is, I have a white spread here. I'm not sure if I should keep the order or I should close it.
دیسی هم باز کنی برای اسکالپ.
I the reason why my spread is this wide, it could be because of the news that has been published. I'm not sure. It's going to go up until the base that we have. So I have to teach you these patterns. It usually comes up to here. Alright. For example, this one. This is a swing high candlestick. And it's also could be considered as a reversal candlestick, which is a lot more reliable than a swing high candlestick. And I will teach you about it next session. So it could give me an upward movement easily. And compared to the swing high candlestick, it has a very more powerful upward movement. The reversal candlestick looks like this. Let me see if I can find any examples. I'm trying to find it. Please give me a moment. So it's almost like this, but I can't find a better example. If it's at the bottom of the market, the lower shadow is longer. But these are in the same family, these two. So if this area is open, I should stock the market. If that's open, it's going to go up. And here it has given me an ascending signal here. But still, my target is right there. If that is open, I can start buying.
تا روز 15 دقیقه هم الان
Excuse me, in the Dow Jones in 15 minutes time frame, we have a swing high candlestick. Let me see. In Dow Jones, you said.
15 دقیقه است.
In a 15 minutes time frame. Yes?
بله بله.
Yes, 15 minutes.
یه
What do
قله
we have
بزرگ.
there? We have a swing high candlestick there. You mean this? Are you talking
بله
about
بله.
this one? Yes. The reason why was that it wasn't able to open the pivot.
الان
The pivot was below that. No, I'm talking about the new candlestick here. Oh, yes, we have a swing high candlestick here. But it doesn't have the second factor and the third factor yet. And keep in mind that we have a pivot below it. We should wait. Excuse me. The next candle is going up. Yes, that's exactly what I said. It has to give you all of the factors. The second factor was that the shadow is longer than the two sides of it. The second factor was that it has to be white. And the third one is that the shadow and the body have to be opened. And the pivot is below it. You see that the pivot is right there. And the body is small too. But it's like this one. We should be careful. You see, it has given us a little bit of a decline and then it has gone up because of this pivot here. You see, for example, if the body was a little bit longer and it was here and the shadow was there, we could have said that it was a good swing high candlestick and it was going to give us a decline up until this area. But I shouldn't make any decisions now. Excuse me. I didn't hear you. Please repeat it. I said that we have a swing high candlestick at the bottom or top of the market. Okay?
مدتش هست که دو تا
And
پل دقیقا
sometimes
شکل
we
مثلا
have
برابر
two
باشه.
swing high candlesticks that look exactly the same.
نه
I
میگم
can't
مثلا
see it
چه
now.
مدتی
What are you
شکل
talking
مثلا
about? No, I was just asking, is it possible? Well, it should be formed. You see, for example, in here, it wasn't formed here, but it's
همین
possible,
شکلی هم
yes.
باشه بعدا
It is
نمیشه
possible that two candlesticks that are very similar are next to each other. But our main factor is that it has to open the shadow and the body.
دوستا همین یه مورد ما دنبالش باشیم
Excuse me, if we just look for this candlestick only, we can work with it, right? Yes, this is one of the best candlesticks. One of them is this, and one of the other good candlesticks is the reversal candlesticks. I do tradings based on these two. For example, in here it has a long shadow here, but it's destroying the base here. So you should look for other candlesticks and you have to know about them too. Because for example, you have a swing high candlestick here, but after that you get a reversal candlestick. So now that you don't know about that, you're going to make mistakes. So you should know about every single one of these candlesticks to know where to exit. For example, you start selling and suddenly you get a reversal candlestick. So you should know what to do there. So if this candlestick base here is ruined, there's a good possibility that it's going to reach my stop loss there. So if it goes a little bit further than that, it's our continuation candlestick and it's going to reach the stop loss. And in daily time frame, we have an engulfing candlestick. So this has ruined this. So this candlestick is inside the pivot. I should wait for it. So you have to know about these candlesticks. And my spread here is very wide. I don't know why. I'm going to exit right now. So you have to know about all of these. If you don't, you may lose a lot of money.
بلدیم داره همون سوانی
Excuse me. Oh, so you should learn all of these, right? Yes, you should learn all of them. Very good. Very well. So, because you have to know all of them. For example, in here we have an ascending candlestick and it's being performed. Because if you don't know about one of them, you would get confused and you would lose the good signals. You're going to have a little reversal here, and because the pivot is right there, so it has been stuck here. So where should we do scalp trading? In the evenings, because you said that we should do scalp tradings 3 a.m. No, that's only about the JPY market. The JPY is not wide on 3 a.m. It's usually on 1 a.m. It's usually wide on that time. You see, we've had a little reversal here because we've had pivots in the past. So is the swing high candlestick clear for everyone? Yes, it is. Any questions? Any problems? All right, good. We had a question and everyone has said thank you. Okay, so we're gonna do scalp trading. And I will consider all of the candlesticks when I do spread scalping. But I have to pay attention to my spread here as well. It's a little bit wider than it should be now. Or for example, This is a swing high candlestick, and it has been performed because it has caused an upward movement. So I should look at this candlestick. And because it is completed in a pivot, it is possible that it's a 50-50 candlestick. So I should wait until it goes further than this, and then I should take buy orders. And it is the same in 4-hour time frame. It's exactly at this point. If it goes further than that, I should start taking buy orders. Or for example, in here we haven't had a big reversal. It is stuck here, and it's because of this area. Or for example, look at this one. It is a swing high candlestick, and if it opens the base here, it's going to come up to here. So it's in your daily time frame, and we have an engulfing candlestick. So it's giving you another warning. If it opens this, it's going to come up to here. Although we don't have a very good market today. Excuse me. I can't hear you well. Please repeat. You see, for example, this one. If you had bought here, you should have exited right here because you've had pivots there. You should wait for it to go further than that, and then you can buy again. This is our order here. But in longer time frames, we have a descending elasticity. Also, in 15 and 30 minutes, we have a descending signal. In 15 minutes, we have a descending signal as well. In 5 minutes, we've had a reversal signal. So when you're doing scalping, you have to check all of these 3 time frames. And I will talk about the elasticity in the future sessions, about the candlestick elasticity. But today, the market is not good enough for scalping. Or look at this. This is the gold chart. The gold chart here has given us a swing high candlestick. Excuse me. Please repeat. We have a sideways trend right now. No, it's not. But it doesn't have many fluctuations. It's weak. For example, in the hourly time frame, we have a swing high candlestick, and it's a good one too. And it has caused an upward movement, but these 2 pivots have stopped it. So if I take a buy order, I should put my stop loss there. But I shouldn't buy here. I should buy at that point. And it's going to form a V shape. I have taught you about the V shapes before. If the second leg here is going to be formed, the tip of the V shape is like that. But today the market is too weak. Tomorrow we're going to have a better market. Are we going to do scalp trading tomorrow? No, we're not. But because the third Thursday's market is weak, the fluctuations is going to be stronger tomorrow. But the workshop is something else. Maybe I'm going to have workshops every day. So please be online. I will talk about that. And it could
بعدش
take 2 or 3 hours. Excuse me,
بریم سنگ زدیم تو ورکشاپ ها.
are the workshops going to be after our third semester? It could be in your fourth semester or at the end of your fourth semester. It's outside of your lessons. Excuse me, what should be our deposit? About $500. I I had set up a workshop before, but it didn't work out.